So when you begin to first consider a postulate so ridiculous as it seems, as the world presents itself, and nothing is solid, there is no matter, and it's basically just time folding on itself and with an energetic supply. And we think that these multi-dimensional, multi-scale existence, that some of the greatest minds were absolutely convinced were more. In the prior video, I posted several people that you can look up, and whether or not you want to call this validation or then go into other people, you could begin with Francis of Assisi, but you've got these people that have experienced things throughout the ages, and it's happening today. Only we have pharmacology and medicine to give them when their soul is in utter terror, right? They're terrorized from their past lives. They, like you, like me, have been, like I, myself, have been convinced that many of the things that befall you, many of the negative experiences were brought on by you. That you decided to go out and get drunk one night, and suddenly you got pregnant from a one-night stand, or maybe worse, and it changed the course of your life. And then you think about, well, my life is worthless anyway, and all these rich people, like, what's the point? They're POSs. It's like, if I did succeed, what good would it do? And the whole point is that the body is a battleground for the soul. And you could even see it on a microbiological level, where you have already been infiltrated physically. You know that you're being infiltrated spiritually, because it doesn't respect time or distance. You can think you're running from the phenomenon that is attacking you. You can think that time has sort of spun out, and a lot of times people will get old just so they can get away from it. They don't want. So there's something very powerful in you being you, right? So this is why the food quality is so low. Like, through this transhumanism, and I know I put a lot of things on, and I've even made statements, but if we just had healthy food, right? And then you see somebody who comes out with that sort of truth, like RFK, and then he's instantly bought and muted and changes his story, right? That, no, we don't want healthy people that are producing positive energy and are vibrant and are ready to fight these battles, because the battleground is your body. When you begin to realize, and people are going to, and it's a scary time. I really didn't want to see the day where people would start to go on my blog. I'm pushing 450,000 views there. It might not sound like much, but it's such a novelty, niche conceptualization, at least from the outskirts, as far as commercialization. And then you see when people are coming to this truth in droves, and they realize that, no, you think that there's a religion or a religious master or teacher that is separate from this, and somehow it's not working as a proselytizing propaganda piece to get you to fully invest yourself in something, and only to see that you're trapped in a syllogism, a paramnesia, and it will lead to madness, right? So you're going to have to be And even the terms we use, like you're going to have to liberate yourself. Well, liberation isn't the thing here, it's freedom. There's liberty and democracy go hand in hand. Um, Anyone can demand liberty and speak their case and go before some court, like I say, that has one foot in one on the right hand path, one foot on the left hand path, pretending that there is a liminal zone, which this is, which our bodies are representing. But they can see you from the other side. They can interact with you from the other side. And there really is no other side. And if you think about a multi-dimensional war, right? Look at the Planck scale. Look at the Planck wall, right? Look at the Planck distance. Look into the physics of what's happening and what's going on in your own body. And then you'll begin to see how the flesh itself embodies all of these dimensional qualities, right? That and then you'll begin to realize this is why, this transmutation, this transcendence, right? That once I can just be myself, which you've been kept from long before you were here, right? Because this is a business, this is a factory, and does the Bible seem so far off? I'm not telling you to go believe it 100% or to join up, but you're going to have to take this information and these validations, and then really, you already know the story, you've already lived it, you are already there. The story's in your DNA, it is in your genetics, it is in your intuition. You haven't even gotten to a place where you can feel relaxed long enough, and you don't even have the keys to properly meditate on this, right? Because there's one big missing piece, and that is the validation of what comes next. And all of the signs, all of the sigils, all of the signals are there all around us all the time. They're even coming to us, traveling through us. And if you think that, if you call out to a name of it is about the belief and the love, right? And it sounds tacky, but this is why emotions are so crucial, right? Because the body suit expresses the phenomenon through emotion, right? And you will never be under a greater attack. There's nobody out here that you could listen to, including myself. Nobody is pure. Nobody is saved. Nobody has any sort of salvation. If you could see them when they leave the interview, if you could see them when they just after they wrote the book, you would see the dichotomy and the corruption, and how most people are bending to, wow, I would just keep living here in this blue pill hologram. You wish it was just a hologram, but it does hurt. It is very real. And even though this whole universe might be comprised of nothing but morphing and spinning energy in time and creating an illusion of time, once there's a complete and total transition, that the energy that is being compartmentalized cell by cell and separated, once there is no separation, right? Are you going to have the prominence, the effulgence, the eminence, the grace, the unity, the purity to last, or to not be taken over, or to not be used against the very people that you sit side by side with right now in church, at work, right? In your family, that you will invariably deceive. And so making promises to people, don't lead people on. Stop taking advantage and being like an Amway salesman or a used car salesman to the people and misleading the people around you, just so that you can believe the lie that's being spoken in your head from within. Do you understand that you have the ability to jump into people's bodies as well? The remote viewing, completely disclosed. Once you stop looking at this as a novelty, and you start to see it as, wow, my awareness is the only thing that seems to be protecting me or separating me with this imaginary thin veneer that doesn't actually exist. And it's the consensus, it's the circulating information, and we're getting closer to that precipice, to that point where I believe that I think that the phi or phi, Fibonacci or golden mean, the 1.618, right? I think that number, even in its sequence, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144, and so on. I believe that number sequence is the key to being able to decipher what's going on through what you would call esoteric mathematics. And that's part of why we have been delineated, made to feel stupid, given these complex procedures that really lead back to nothing at all, where it's trying to blend sort of like right hand and left hand mathematics. And the esoteric, the arcane, it's very real. It is, at least it is how the quirky and strange, odd fit that is coming apart right now. You could almost look at it as the right triangle, the left, the hypotenuse, the left and right pointing triangles are in total dichotomy and opposition, and they seem to be held together in flux, but they are as stable as the polar magnetic North Pole. That there is a time when the gradient is going to slip and the flux is going to throw everything into this mad state of entropy, into chaos, and everything is going to start coming apart, just like helium and hydrogen are non-metallic, right? Agents in this universe, and there are different derivatives of them, right? And they're very valuable, right? But it's just like, having this helium balloon, right, that you suck in, right, and you let go of, and it flies so high, and when it runs out of gas, it shrivels up and falls to the ground, but you still have a really high voice from the effect of it.